feel like it's going to be like a regular consult, but at the same time, I feel like it's not going to be a regular consult because of Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, but then it's like, I don't know what I'm expecting.
Thing is to make sure that when we get there, it's an actual second opinion consult, and they just didn't do a fancy way of sending you to pain management.
Yeah, that'd be a little annoying, because that would be what, my 4th or 5th pain management doctor if they send me to one.
So my main thing is going to be, you know, we were sent here for basically a second opinion. You know, she's got this collection of symptoms. What's going on, and by the way, there are some new symptoms that have been added since she got the referral that you guys
I'm trying to kill myself by tripping over things, or otherwise attempting to die. And I'm hoping that it can be actually honest to God productive, where they say, okay, I'm looking at your scans, I saw this, it could potentially be this, we're gonna run this test that will determine whether or not it is that. Because right now we don't have an idea. Just hunches.
Oh, and it's gonna be, we didn't drive all the way.
Yeah, well, and that's my other thing
too.
That's my other thing, is that we drove 4.5 hours, so it better be a dang good appointment. Oh, geez.
That van pulled to the right and completely blocked the bike, and then I think they saw the bike and started to kind of pull to the left. But I don't know, if I was the bike, I probably would have hopped up on the curb instead of
He
going
almost
past the
did.
van.
He's like, evade! You know, if that park wasn't completely dead, it would be pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I'll trade you head rubs.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. So, what is our... Ooh, I like their garden. Sparkly. What is... I mean, oh, dear goodness. What is your game plan going into this? Like, how have you thought of starting the conversation? Because I feel like I'm going to go in there with a plan, and then I'm going to get in there, and then my brain's going to freeze up, and I'm going to be like, owie, much love, owie.
Well, I think we go in there and kind of say, okay, you know, this is kind of a 1.5-year trip that's gotten us here.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Got a diagnosis of neurocardiogenic syncope. However, there's some neurological issues that have come up. And we know she has a Chiari malformation, but because they don't have a standing MRI, there was no way to know without having gravity work on her head if it was causing the symptoms.
If the brain was actually sinking lower when I stood up, where it doesn't look as bad when I'm lying down because gravity isn't working on it.
And we know that that's probably the case because your symptoms are less when you're lying down, and they're worse when you're standing up, and the longer you're upright, the worse it gets. And we've recently discovered that if you hang upside down and take your brain off of the base of your skull altogether...
Well, I was watching The Fry Life, and because... I don't know, her voice just soothes me. It's one of those things where I can set it in the background and I can literally watch all of her videos as background noise while I clean my room. But she likes to do headstands where she'll actually go down on her hands and flip so she's upside down, because the position helps with her CF, because it like shifts all the fluid up towards the top of her lungs,
so she
can actually
cough so hard to get it out.
Yeah, so it's like, it's almost like PT for her. And I was thinking, oh, you know what, I don't know if that would be a good idea or not, because like at the same time I have a headache, but at the same time I wonder if it would feel good. So last night when I was like, you know, just wanting to die because I couldn't sleep, I was tossing and turning and rolling and green light. And at some point I was pushing my forehead into the pillow to see if that would work, and then I was pulling my head and twisting and almost thinking if it just popped right, you know, but you know that's not gonna happen. I love the fall thing going on right now. Anyways. But then I was like, you know what, maybe I can do that. So I kind of got on my forearms, kind of like a plank, and flipped upside down. But it seemed like a refreshing pose, so I thought I'd try it last night, and it actually worked.
Our theory is that the lying down MRI doesn't show the extent of it because your symptoms are less when you're laying down, they're worse when you're up, and the longer you're up, the worse they are. And lately, you've added some neurological symptoms. We're back to Moffitt.
We went in one big circle. Well, but at least we're going in the right direction now, right?
Yes, I think. It's a good thing we're not in a hurry. Anyway, you know, you've recently added some neurological symptoms where your right leg isn't working, and you know, you've got weakness in the leg that's causing you to trip and fall, and you're having to use a cane, you're having to use a wheelchair, and so there's obviously something going on in there.
I'm just afraid that when I get there, just because this has been such a long process, I'm going to start trying to tell him about it, and then I'm going to either lose myself, or I'm going to lose the timeline, or I'm going to forget to tell him something. Because I feel like it's been such a long road, I feel like I'm going to forget to tell him steps.
And that's why your bullet point list is important.
How long would you say that I've had my weakness in my leg? 2 or 3 weeks now? It was before I went to Disneyland, by like a week.
I think it probably started kicking in about a month and a half ago, and then it really started being noticeable last 3 weeks.
Well, and it's doing that thing where it was numb from like, or not like numb, but it sort of feels numb even though it's not, where it was from hip to the top of my knee, and then from my hip to around my knee, and today I noticed it's all the way down to like the back of my calf.
Well, I would tell them you've had altered sensation for several months.
Probably close to a year.
Yeah. And that it's gotten worse. Like 3 months ago, you started noticing that it had increased along with the pain in your neck. And then about 3 weeks ago, you noticed that your right leg got to the point where it didn't want to support your leg. And you were walking like you were drunk and worried about getting thrown out of stores because people were following you because they thought you were drunk. And
did I have people following me?
You've had it happen before.
Awkward. Yeah, I have.
You know, and
I was bouncing off the displays, which I was more worried about. I was like, bing, bing.
Yeah, last time you had to go to Disneyland in a wheelchair because your leg just wouldn't support you.
No. Well, and I felt like super out of breath, and like I had the chest pain, and I had the neck pain, and nothing was working.
We know based on your neurological symptoms, which are X, Y, and Z.
Nystagmus.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to get a video of that tonight.
Something going on.
It should be really good since I've been up for like 28 hours. Is there anything else that's like increased a significant amount in recent weeks that you can think of?
Well, definitely the no sleeping thing. Your pain level seems to have increased
significantly.
Definitely wobblier. Tell them, you know, one of the things that they did as kind of a stopgap to try to hold me over till I got here was send me to pain management. And they tried doing an occipital block, and this is what this did. And then we tried doing the Botox injections to see
that
if that
didn't
would
work
help,
either.
That didn't work either. So this is kind of where we're at right now.
It seems like every time they stick something in my head, it just pisses everything off.
Yeah.
Like it does the opposite of what it's supposed to.
It feels like your body is actually fighting against the stuff
it really does,
that they put in, and that it actually causes the symptoms to increase, not decrease.
I feel like I'm having some kind of inflammatory response to it because I got the Botox injections, and then everywhere they put the Botox hurts all the time. There was a certain day where the parts where they stabbed me in the temples hurt the worst, and then like yesterday where they stabbed me in the shoulders hurt the worst. I'm like, what the heck? Where it's the worst part of it keeps moving, as if attacking one part, breaking it down, and then going for the next part. My forehead still pretty much doesn't move, but
I think we need to make kind of a bullet-pointed timeline so it helps you stay on track for telling them, but also so they can see how much stuff you've done already. We need to kind of figure out where these symptoms are coming from before they're permanent.
Yeah, I mean, having the swagger of a cripple isn't the worst thing ever, but it's not really something I'd like to actually keep.
I have personal experience with people kind of delaying treatment and not taking my symptoms seriously and that kind of stuff, to the point where I have permanent damage, and that's not what I want for you.
No. I want to make sure that we instill some urgency into this and basically go, please don't be like, oh, that's interesting, and then push me off 3 more weeks.
Well, and you know, I'm gonna start out just being like, here we are, we're looking for help, blah blah blah. But if they start acting like, you know, well, you know,
they're gonna
this
brush
and
me
that and
off,
everything, or they're gonna brush you off, or they're gonna take their sweet time, I'm gonna say, look, we came all the way over here because the symptoms have reached at the point where they're severe enough that her neurosurgeon is concerned and doesn't have the resources to treat it.
So,
I didn't drive her all the way out here for, I don't know, let's send you to pain management.
Yeah. Well, and when like the top neurosurgeon in your town is like, oh, there's something wrong with you, but I don't actually know what it is, it's like, what do you mean you don't know what it is?
There isn't a standing MRI, and there's not a lot of the equipment that you have here.
Help a sister out. Crossing my fingers. Oh, and it's like
I'm
we've
going
already
to take over the conversation.
We've already done everything. We've done the physical therapy. We've done the massage therapy. We've done the acupuncture. We've done chiropractor. We have done tramadol. We have done Norco. We have done Nucynta. We've done God knows what else.
Yeah.
None of it's working. I'm running out of options besides burning nerves that may not even be causing the problem.
Yeah. Well, and I wouldn't even be comfortable letting them do that at this point, because the occipital nerve block and
that
Botox
screwed
haven't
me
worked.
up. Well, they haven't worked, and they've made everything worse, and those were just injections. I couldn't even imagine what my nervous system would do if I went in and
actually
fried
something.
Yeah, and fried my nerves. God knows what that would do to my NCS. I'm not in a great place anyways. I don't want to make it any worse. And I think it would probably be an easier time, like, dealing with it if it wasn't for the NCS, but I feel like it kind of throws a little bit of a monkey wrench into things.
If the other stuff had worked even, I think I would be more comfortable with it, but since it hasn't, it would be a shot in the dark, hope this works.
Well, and
If it doesn't, sucks to be you.
I don't really see the point in burning random nerves in my face and my head and hoping that those just happen to be the ones. And especially since the Botox and the occipital nerve block were supposed to target the same anatomy and both of them failed, I don't even think that the nerve ablation would even work. It would just be one more poke, prod,
That would
zap
be unsuccessful.
that would be unsuccessful and make me miserable.
But we definitely need to make sure that your ducks are in a row this evening, so that when we go in there tomorrow, you've got your bullet pointed list that kind of helps you stay on track. And you know as well as I do, it seems like the more documentation you have, the better off you seem to be, because it's not a verbal recounting. You've taken the time to actually write it all down. For some reason, with doctors, with police officers, with judges, all these people in these official capacities, something about having the same information written down that you would have said out loud.
I think it's because you put the forethought into it by going, I need to remember this for later, therefore I'm writing it down. I just hope it goes well. I feel like I'm like going into like the interview of my life and I only get one try to answer the questions right. Sounds terrible.
Well, here's the thing though that a lot of people don't know is if you don't get the satisfaction you need, you don't have to leave right away. You can go down the hall to patient services and go, okay, this just happened and they completely blew me off. Or you can go, no, you're not walking out. We're not done yet.
I still have 20 more minutes.
I've had a doctor that was in a super big hurry and they came in and it was da 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 da. Okay, bye. No.
Right? Where you're practically like chasing them.
Yeah.
Where you have to like football tackle them before they
Yep.
like leave the room.
I paid good money to be here and I'm not done yet. Sit back down. Because honestly, I think they just get in such a routine of next one, that they forget that not everything can be treated in 5 minutes.
Well, something that I learned at the Dysautonomia International conference was that they were pressuring doctors somewhere. I don't know if this is like in all over the United States thing or just this one area, but they wanted doctors to do like 10 minutes per patient. So they wanted you to get through 6 patients in an hour.
It's ACA.
Yeah.
They want more patients being treated. They want it done faster, and they want them charting the whole time.
Yeah.
Instead of
I
waiting
can't even
till
tell you what I
afterwards.
had for breakfast and what I did this morning in 10 minutes.
Right.
Let alone, hey, by the way, my brain is falling out of my head.
Well, and the unfortunate thing is, if you're sitting there charting the whole time, you are not making eye contact with your patient.
Oh.
Which
They
leaves them...
could look pale as death and look like they got socked by
Right.
Mike Tyson, but you wouldn't know.
Part of the advantage of doing doctoring the other way was you actually looked at your patient. You looked at their color, you looked how they're breathing, you looked at all that kind of stuff. And they miss a lot of that stuff when they're having to chart the whole time. And it also means they're looking here instead of looking here. So you're telling them all about this horrible
And
stuff.
they're like, oh, yeah.
Exactly. All about this horrible stuff going on in your life. And they're like,
That's unfortunate.
You can bet your bottom dollar that one way or the other, we're going to get something done tomorrow.